On today's Madge Unmuted, we'll talk about nasty people and how to parent better and how not to be a dickhead in either case. On today's Madge Unmuted. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Madge Unmuted. Why was half my face covered? I'm your hostess, Madge Madigan. That's me, and with me, as always, is my trusty sidekick and producer, Fitz. Fitzgerald.
You want to chase some cars?
George.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck that was. I don't remember that cartoon. Wasn't that it? Anyway, Scott Fitzgerald, Fitz.
Nah.
RockFoxStudios.com for all your recording needs. Record a podcast. Hey, it can all be done remotely. You don't have to come into this studio. You want him to cook you up some sorcery? You contact Fitz.
And grits, too.
RockFox.com. Sorcery-flavored grits. I love sorcery and grits. It's a great Southern breakfast. Hey, how you doing today?
Oh, I've had better days.
You've had quite the day.
I have had quite the day. Do you want to... We could talk about other stuff first before we get into my rant.
Here's a funny thing. Today would have been my 30th wedding anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But how many years shy did you come to the 30th?
20.
20. Okay.
I've been divorced for 20 years. And, it's all good. I have 3 phenomenal kids, and I still have love for my ex-husband. He's a human being, and
Yeah. But in the long run, you're better off, right?
Yeah.
Because what you were going through at the time was unbearable, so you had to get out of that.
Yeah. But also
It's a fun subject, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I had to get out of it, yet he got out of it first.
You were kind of forced out. You were the only one there, so I was like, well, why am I hanging around? I might as well leave.
he was decided to take up with a younger model than myself. And anyway, it's a whole long story. Maybe someday I'll tell it. Let me know in the comments if you really care to hear it. But subscribe while you're here. Subscribe, smash that
Ding.
hit that
Button.
Subscribe, like, share.
Ring Madge's bell, baby.
You can ring my bell.
Disco Madge.
Yeah, that's me. So anyway, yeah.
So what are you doing to celebrate 20 years of divorce?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's funny, now that my kids are older, when they were younger, I wrote my book and I would write blogs and talk about that stuff all the time and knowing that they would never hear it, but like now,
yeah, now they hear it.
well, I don't know that they even still do listen to this, so maybe they don't hear it. But then I know their friends do, and because their friends are always like, "Hey, Madge, love your podcast," and it'd be like, "Hey, I didn't know your dad did this."
Yeah.
But I think they kind of know anyway, so I don't know. Happy 30th would-be anniversary to me. You know what I have to give? I have to give one word of advice about 20 years of divorce. People who are divorced and have children, always, always, always love your children more than you hate your ex-spouse.
Oh, yeah. No, that's great advice.
Please.
Because that's it seems like that's so easy for people to do. They get caught up in the hate, and it consumes them to the point where it's overpowering the love that they should have for their kids.
Absolutely. And then you start using the kids as pawns,
Right.
and
Getting back at them for, I'm not going to let you see them.
And
meanwhile, the kids are in the middle
here's
of it
two
all.
things. One, your kids had abso-fucking-lutely nothing to do with your issues between you and your husband. Nothing. This was between you and your ex-spouse. And two, someone explained this to me once, and I hope I can say it the same way. When one parent talks bad about the other parent, the child starts to doubt themselves because they know that they come from both parents.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, my mom and dad, somebody's like, your dad's a piece of shit. And then I'm like, oh,
That means I'm kind of a piece of shit
I
too.
must be a
I
piece
come
of
from a
shit.
piece of shit.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then the kids doubt themselves. Wait, should I
Yeah.
not love this piece of shit? Should I love? And all this conflicting weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so multi-layered, and
Yeah.
people don't get that. I mean, and then, they use them as pawns, and then you even get so far as to, I mean, God forbid this is way over, but you've heard of that where, they're going through a divorce, and then the one parent takes the kids and then kills the kids and,
Oh.
and kills himself. I mean, that's
Well,
the extreme, but that's what that shit is born out of, that you want to take away that person's most precious thing.
That's like Rochester's own Scott Byrne, who's one of the founders of the Missing and Exploited Children Foundation with John Walsh
Oh,
from America's Most Wanted.
yeah.
He and I have his book here at the studio. He was kidnapped. His mom kidnapped him and his brother when they were just little kids. She went crazy. She really was having some kind of a mental breakdown, and she took the kids and went away and manufactured all of the stuff that she was blaming his father for. The dad was a loving dad, and she made up all of this abuse and everything, and eventually it turned into a big thing, and it was in the papers.
When did this
in the
happen?
80s? This was in the 80s. Yeah.
And then though you have the some cases where the person, usually the male is abusing the mother and the kids, and the mother, takes the kids and flees in the night and disappears. And then when people make up that shit, that totally fucks things up for.
Oh yeah. It's
know.
always going to screw something up for somebody else
Yeah.
who's doing the right thing.
Anyway, yeah. So, anyway, there's Madge's words of wisdom. How to not fuck up your kids after divorce.
How to not fuck up your kids in 3 quick steps.
If you watched my episode last week with my kids, I don't think I fucked them up. I mean,
I don't think so. I think you did a great job. I had a great time with them.
Thank you. I did too. I had a great visit with them. We had a lot of fun. Although I think by the end of the week, they're like, I'm really sick of you, Mom. We need to get the fuck out of here.
Well, you're as adults, you've got that instinct to move away, to move on with yourself and do your own thing. So at some point, like, right. I love my parents to death, but when they come up here for 2 weeks, by the end of 2 weeks, I'm like, okay.
Exactly.
Time to
and
go
I
home.
think it has more to do with, it might have a bit to do with like, okay, I've been in a small space with these people for a while. It's time to go. But also it's like, okay, I've been away long enough. I got stuff to do.
Yeah, you're in the middle of your life.
I want to go home to my own bed. I want to go back to where my friends are.
Yeah, absolutely.
My other friends. And yeah. So anyway, they're all good. I think, as we all do, we have shit that we haven't maybe totally worked out from our childhood. Which, yeah.
I mean, that's when I was going through therapy a couple of years ago, that I didn't realize my therapist pulled out. She's like, tell me about your childhood. I'm like, oh, it was good. It was fine. It was normal. And then she really got into digging, and I was like, oh, and she did not want to, I'm not trying to talk smack about your parents or make your parents out to be the bad guy and girl. They did the best they could with what they had and what they knew, right?
Yeah.
Their intentions were good, but they come from an older school, a different school of how people were raised. So this whole evolution, Jeff Klein.
That's a hard thing too. As you become older and dealing with your parents, stuff in your childhood, a lot of it is like, I had stuff that wasn't necessarily my parents did anything wrong. They just had a different set of values. Probably like, I don't know if you remember, when we had Amy on and she was talking to my parents. Amy's the intuitive medium, the pole dancing medium.
Yes.
And it was great. And she was, she speaks to the departed, and she got my parents, and she's like, they just had different values, which is totally true. And they said that, and also my dad had a different way of communicating, to which I took personally my entire life.
Right.
And it wasn't until his death in 2012 where I was, sitting with him when he was in hospice, and it just kind of dawned on me like, oh my God, it's nothing personal against you. This is just the way your dad communicates.
Yeah.
And it made me, that resolved a lot of shit I had in my life. But also, here's another thing that I know my kids, I hope they'll realize someday, but when you realize, we grow up thinking that our parents are the be all end all, gods, superheroes, whatever. And then as you get older, you see things from an adult about them, either if they're gone from the past or if they're still alive, you're visiting them and you're like, oh, I see this. They're okay. They're kind of infallible. And also maybe this might be right. This might not be right. That might not be right. And you finally realize, oh my God, my parent is a human.
Right. Exactly. They're just people.
They're just people
we
doing
build
the
them
best
up.
they can. They weren't like we didn't when our kids came out. We didn't have all the answers right then and there. We went along, we changed things. We went along. You learn how to be a fucking parent.
Well, and still, and even with now, we'll talk shit about people how they parent now. You're like, oh my God, you coddle your kids, and
Yeah,
and you think
right.
about when you were kids and what your parents did, and when they said, oh, when I was your age, every generation has that walking up the hill both ways in the snow with bare feet story.
But also, we often make fun of that, oh, back in my day.
Mm-hmm.
However, there is some truth to it, as every generation has a different set of circumstances.
Right.
When I was growing up, we didn't have computers, cell phones, even fucking call waiting we didn't have, And so you don't realize that it is different. I grew up a different way, Anyway, that was my parenting tips for the day.
It's very freeing, though.
Yeah, it is.
Or can be.
I feel bad who people that didn't have such a great upbringing that had maybe more trauma. That's a lot more to unpack. I kind of hate that term. It's overused.
Unpack? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But there's more to, unpack, for lack of a better word, because everybody has different set of circumstances.
Yeah.
And we all do the best we can.
And speaking of nasty old men.
Yeah. Heard you had some issues today.
Do it, motherfucker. So this morning, Kelly, my wife, was driving to work.
Jane,
it was
his wife?
15,
Oh, sorry.
6:45 or 6:30 in the morning. And she's actually right around the corner here, sort of down the street from where I was almost hit by a car. So I don't know what's going on with this road.
Yeah, I
and
know.
My family.
Well, I'll let you say what.
But she's driving down. She's on the road, driving to work, main road, going straight, and some young girl was coming out of the parking gas station, out of the parking lot of the gas station, and wanted to make a left turn, which was going to cross over in front of her. Was only looking to the right, didn't look to the left, and just pulled out fast, gunned it, so smacked right into the broadside of the van.
Oh my God!
Knocked Kelly into the other lane. She's fine. The van is messed up. And I think
how old of a van? What year?
It's a 2016, which really pisses me off. Is it's freaking new. It's a new freaking van. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But Because whenever you get in an accident, shit just never runs right after that. No matter what
yeah.
they do,
Oh,
no matter
yeah.
how they fix it, it just don't work.
Yep. Yep.
So she, she calls me. She's like, I got in an accident. Everything's fine. Waiting for the cops to come. I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to find out what's going on.
Got a call?
No, I'm gonna put these pictures up on here so you can see what I'm dealing with.
Gotcha.
So she and Kelly's such a nice person that the girl she's like 22 years old or whatever that hit her, and she's crying, she's all upset. So Kelly goes down and gives her a hug, and then she's worried about like the patients that she was going to see today because she works in healthcare, and now they're going to have to cancel those patients because they were understaffed to begin with. So she's like, oh, all of my patients are going to have to, and not once did she think about, am I okay? Has my neck, she's had neck problems for years. Is my neck
You
okay?
mean she wasn't worried about someone telling her that she had to get a vaccine? She was worried about her patients first? Right. Anyway, I digress. Sorry.
So this woman calls her father, and lo and behold, her father happens to be an insurance claims adjuster. Go figure. Of all the people, right? So the police officer gets there, and they're having a conversation, and the claims adjuster father is trying to say that this is a 50-50 accident.
Oh, hell no.
Meaning that they're both at fault.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
And he was, saying this and that, and the cop finally said, "Sir, this doesn't involve you, and you're going to need to stop talking right now."
Yes.
Because he was trying to turn it around,
sure.
like his daughter wasn't really that responsible. It was like, oh well,
drive
say that it's both sides. It's both sides,
Yeah.
And so that happened. So anyway, that got resolved. Thankfully the police officer was like, oh hell no.
Good. Thank God.
Then, and because this was right around the corner, I came over here to work and was doing my thing and whatnot. And then Kelly walked over, and we were getting the insurance stuff situated and all that. And let's see, here is the van. I think I just screwed. Yeah, here's the van.
Yikes.
So that's a good little knock there, right?
Oh, so yeah, you were.
That'll just buff right out, right?
What'd you say?
That'll just buff right out.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little. So, well, it looks like it went into the wheel well, so that's not drivable, right?
It'll drive, but here's the kind of the crux of this story as it goes on, is that the police officer said, "Don't drive this." We were going to say like drive it to the place, to the collision place, and he's like, "Don't drive this because it's dangerous. The door could come off at any time."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you look, the door is all like messed up here.
Yeah.
And you can't see the top of it. There's a gap of like 5-6 inches on the top of the door. So he says, if the door comes off, then you're going to be causing another accident, and you will be at fault. So keep the van here, wait for the tow truck to get here. And so that's what we did. We came over to the studio, making phone calls, da-da-da. We go over there for the final, waiting for the last 15 minutes, waiting for the tow truck. And Kelly's like, well, let me go inside to the store at the gas station and thank them for being kind to me, because we had this happen right in front of their establishment. And one of the girls came out and said, "Are you okay? Do you want to come inside for, some warmth or whatever?"
Oh, initially when it happened? Oh, okay.
So she went in there to go to thank them. And I'm sitting in my car. I'm just on my phone or whatever. And then I hear this shouting, and I'm like, what is this shouting? And I go out, and it's this freaking guy who owns the Marathon store there. He's yelling at us because we've taken up his good parking spots all morning, and he's losing business, and we've got 2 minutes to get the hell out of there, or he's going to call the tow truck. I'm like, dude, we're calling the tow truck. It's the whole reason why we're here. We got hit in front of, Kelly got hit in front of your establishment. How is this our fault at all? And he's like, I saw you pull that thing around. You could have drove it across the street and parked it in that parking lot. There's plenty of room over there. You're blocking business for me. I'm like, you're a fucking asshole.
What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
So we start having a shouting match, and I'm like, you're just a freaking asshole. I'm like,
you were shouting?
Yeah. I'm like, are you kidding me? I got out of the car when I heard him yelling at Kelly.
Oh.
And I'm like, you ain't fucking yelling at my wife. And I am the least confrontational. I am shaking. I'm stuttering. I can't talk. because I'm just not
Yeah.
that way.
Right.
And this other guy comes out and they're like kind of, grouping up with him like we're the aggressors.
What?
And yeah, and I'm like, wait a second. I work in this neighborhood. I own a business in this neighborhood. And this is horrible what you're doing. You are being so anti-community, it's not even funny.
What were these people backing him for? Why were they on his side?
Because we started shouting back at him. So they were like, because he's an old man or whatever. So they started shouting at him. We started shouting at him. And so the other people came back and they were like, oh, I took that when I was taking this picture, I took this picture and then right, you can't see her, but right after I took that picture, a woman came out and she came out with her phone up, like this. And she's taking, I'm like, hi, how you doing? She's like, good. How are you? And she's walking like she's filming me. And I'm like, what do you, is there a reason why you're filming me? You're the people that are yelling at us.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I'm just trying to make sure. I don't remember what she said, but I was like, whatever. So we got up and we left.
People
and
with the phones now. What the fuck?
Well,
okay. Anyway.
Here I am because the first thing I did, I literally went over there, parked the car and started tweeting. But the funny thing is that nobody gives a shit when I tweet. So
stop.
I'm serious. I tweeted this and it has not gotten one like or
I don't even
favorite
think I
or
follow
retweet.
you.
I retweeted it myself from my other account, but nobody on Facebook or on Twitter ever gives a shit when I tweet. But on Facebook, it's had a pretty good response.
I'm sorry, what's your Twitter?
At Fitzvox, FITZVOX.
Remember that, kids?
And Rockvox is rock_Vox, by the way.
Oh, we are following you. Oh, see, I liked it on Facebook, on Instagram. I'm just
I
don't have my notifications on for Twitter because
no one ever gives a shit
attention.
when I tweet. But it doesn't matter because I don't tweet that often, so I get it. So I put it on Facebook and Instagram, and I've gotten a pretty good response. And the only reason, it's not like I'm trying to, get attention to me. I want people to know that they shouldn't go to that place. That guy's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
There's no reason that he would to be that way. He did not want to hear our reason. He did not care. All he knew was that his prime freaking parking spot was being used up since, for 2 hours. That's all he cared about. He did not care one bit about anything else.
Even if he had a problem with this, he could have just said, is there any way you could just move this off to the side?
So the first time we weren't in parking spots, she was off to the curb, away from the gas pumps and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I had backed up to the van to take all the stuff out of her van and put it in my trunk.
Mm-hmm.
And he came out, and he wasn't nice, but he wasn't mean. He just came out and said, are you going to be able to move this? Because the beer truck's coming and this is where he parks. I'm like, so I pulled away and I'm like, I don't think it can drive. And so, but Kelly managed, that's when we moved it and drove to the spot. And she said, where can I go? Can I go to and he said, you can go to the spot, but he was thinking that we're going to be out of there in 2 minutes and not
right.
another hour and a half.
Yeah.
But the fact that he, Kelly went in there with the nicest of intentions to thank this guy thanks these people for, giving us this shelter to keep our van.
Yeah.
Where even though we couldn't move it. And he's like yelling and screaming at us. And I was just like, why are you such an asshole? Why are you such an angry elf? I mean,
yeah,
he's just a curmudgeon.
I don't,
Can't stand him now.
Okay, a couple of things. One, I tell you this, I live in the city. These suburbs out here are more dangerous than in the city.
Yeah.
How many accidents or mishaps have you had out here, out in freaking Bushnell's Basin?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've never, other than gunshots and homicides.
Just those.
I mean, because, how much trouble can you get in when you have to drive 25 miles an hour, But anyway, you got a lot of problems here. So, but, okay. with this guy, me trying to be an empathetic person, I've always been, it's like, okay, I was like, who knows what this guy has
Try
going.
to see both sides.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
no, just like he's probably taken a whole load of shit out on you that, from his childhood. Who the fuck knows, I try and always be like, I've always told my kids, like, when somebody gets angry at them, it's usually never about them. It's usually about some other shit, unless you've done something really fucking stupid. But anyway,
Right.
However, but it goes to a bigger problem that we have in this day and age is lack of empathy and lack of compassion and whatever. Well, I know certain.
I mean, am I supposed to be the one with the compassion for him, the empathy for him? I mean, yeah, to an extent, but when he's shouting and I come out and I'm like, what's the problem? And he's all nasty.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're the ones that have the hardship right now. So why should I have to be empathetic to him?
I exactly see that. I'm not saying you're right or you're wrong or he's right or he's wrong. That's just the trouble that we came in, or the trouble we have this day and age. Yeah. Would I probably, if it was somebody like yelling at my kid, I would have done the same thing, since I don't have a spouse. Even I mean,
but it's someone you care about,
right, yeah.
And it's like, whoa.
That's a different
pal.
thing. If he was yelling at me, I would probably be like, because I've found the most often way to disarm people is by being calm.
Yeah, I really have a trouble with that. And I thought about that in retrospect afterwards. I'm like, why couldn't I have just taken a deep breath, returned all of his frothing with a smile?
Yeah.
And been just sweet as pie with him.
Yeah.
But, oh, God, he just pissed me off so much. And he was yelling at my wife, the love of my life. You don't fucking do that. You don't screw up my family. I'm sorry.
I don't say I blame you.
And then I start running through all these scenarios and I think, man, I wish I was like a foot and a half taller and really built so I can lean on him, because there's some people are just physically intimidating and they'll come up and go, why don't you just turn around and walk back into your store? And we'll be out in a few minutes. And if you're intimidating enough, they go, oh, okay. But I do that and he'd be like, get away from me, you little tubby fuck.
I get that every day to me. People calling me a tubby fuck.
Oh, come on.
Oh,
you're not a fuck. I'm just kidding. I had to.
Okay.
I had to. Wait, you're still tethered. Don't pull the headphone amp off the table.
I got plenty of cord. I got plenty of tether. Oh, what have I done now?
Oh, Jesus. You broke it.
I'm stuck. Oh, there we are. I do the same thing when I have my hose that's coming from the back of my house, the spigot, and I bring it around. I bring it around to my car, and then it gets stuck under the tire, and I pull it.
I thought you meant your hose, like you have an army of hoes that come out and do your bidding.
I am my own army of hoes.
You do it for the hose, right, Santa?
I am my own army of hoes. Let me just tell you there, mister. I have two friends out in Fairhaven that are, one is he's like 6'6", and but he's not large. He's built like a basketball player, and the other one is probably 6'2". But he's an older man, but he's
intimidating.
Got the pounds.
Yeah.
Sorry. And those two, we go to a dive bar out there, and every once in a while, if you stay a little later past happy hour, you get somebody who's being kind of an ass. I mean, only once in a great while, and all they have to do is stand up and say, "Okay, we're not going to do that here."
Yeah.
Literally, that's all it takes.
Yeah. And for some people, it's not necessarily a physical intimidation thing. It's more of a confidence thing in how you present yourself, eye contact and all this kind of stuff. And I just don't have that.
Okay. Can I tell you? All right. Two two things on that. And my marriage, my ex-husband could be, when he drank, he could be very angry. And he was a ex-college hockey player, a defenseman. So he was 6'2", 225.
He's a big scrapper.
He's a big guy. And at the time we were married 30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, I was 5'2" and like 115.
Yeah. Little waif of a thing.
Literally my ex-husband was still lifting weights a lot. He's a big gym rat, meathead.
Mm-hmm.
And he could, he being a hockey player, he would work on his forearms. He could take I'm trying to do it. He could hold out his arm, but down here, and I would hang on to it, and he could lift me up.
Yeah, yeah.
And so anyway, that was our big parlor trick. So anyway, I would cower, but who knows? I don't know. Today, though, if any man gets lippy with me, I'm just like, stand my ground. Like, really, you want to go there? And I can't, don't tell anybody. I've never hit anyone in my life, but I sure okay. But also the second thing I was going to say with my kids, I have never hit my kids in my life.
God bless you.
Never even yelled at them. Well, not yelled. I've never yelled at them. I have yelled away from them. I had gone into the kitchen, and there's all these dirty things, and God damn it, why can't anybody do a dish? But that's about it. So it's just kind of yelling into the air. But anyway, so I'm sorry, just interrupt. But with that, my kids will tell you, and I wish I would have asked them last week, they say, all I have to do is give a look. And they said, Mom, seriously, to this day, that look, we will run crying. Yeah. And, but that's what it is. I think anybody who's a parent, you have to, screaming at your child never works. It just begets more anger and screaming. Just my 2 cents. I've always gotten right down, starting at, toddler, got right down on their level, looked them in the eye, and was like, we're not going to do that. When you can calm down, then we will go out, or whatever the, thing is. And explain. And it's not like some of these assholes are like, oh, we're just going to talk them out of it. No, I'm sorry, and they want to be all like, oh, I'm going to hit my kids, whatever. No, I've got more fucking discipline and brain cells than you do, because just screaming and hitting people, what does that do? Makes everybody more angry. However, if you get down on their level and look them in the eye and are confident and explain, whatever, we're not going to do that right now because, we are in a store and I cannot help you with that right now. Mm-hmm. So you're going to calm down and we will talk about it. Whatever.
That didn't work for me. But
really?
But then again, my middle child was on the autism spectrum.
Right.
So
that's a whole different.
Yeah. And so we didn't know how to properly do that. So, and I also, was given my dad's temper and his sort of Irish sensibilities in that way. So I, there was a point where I completely stopped being physical with my kids, and they were still young. They were still small, because I was like, no, I'm not doing this. It's it's totally a mismatch of power here. I'm like, it's not fair. You can't haul off and smack your kid. They go flying. And you're like, holy shit, I'm a 35-year-old guy,
Yeah.
And they're this little tiny thing, and you're like, why would I do that? Why, and it took me that feeling of total disgust with myself that I would do that, and feeling so bad for my kids that I was like, I'm never going to spank them again, ever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I applaud you for not ever, because that, for me, with my temper, and when kids act up and stuff, I'd be like, because when I was a kid, my dad's back of the head, whack. They'd always give me that back of the head thing. to this day, like if my kid's messing around with me and they're like my son and he hits me in the back of the head, it drives me crazy. I'm like, don't ever do that again.
Yeah.
My dad hit me in the back of the head once. Once.
Once, Johnny Dangerously.
Yes.
And my dad put me on a hook once. Once. But like I was no angel. There were, like I said, this yelling from the other room, like there'd be a, God damn it, what the fuck,
Yeah.
but not at that. I mean, they knew there were times when I was angry, but it was never directed at them. They're like, "Ooh, we're not gonna go in the kitchen when mom's up,"
Yeah.
But also, and I can't say that I didn't grab the arm and give it a jerk every once in a while, but it was to get the attention thing. Like how some people would say, I had to give him a swat to get their attention. There would be like, some kid was doing something and I told him to stop, and then all of a sudden you grab the arm and it's like, no,
Yeah.
we're not doing that.
Yeah.
That was a more of get them away from something immediately when you told them not to, or they were
when
in
there's
danger.
like danger involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Or destruction of property.
I used to, right. I used to get, when my kids were 6, 7, 8, something like that, there had been quite a few, I think it was like Sandy Hook had just happened and something else had just happened. And I was out with my kids and I'm like, and I always have this problem where they don't listen to me. And I'd be like, come on, we got to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, come on, we got to go. And they do their own thing. And it would turn into this whole thing. And then my daughter, who has the behavioral issues, it would turn into this big ordeal. And it would, just horrible. And I took them all aside one day and I said, listen to me. I said, did you see what happened in Sandy Hook? They're like, yeah, we talked about it in school. I'm like, listen to me. If I tell you, let's go, you have to listen to me because you never know if it's going to be a serious life or death situation. I'm looking out for you. I'm here to protect you. And if you're not listening to me about we have to get out of here, that's bad. You have to listen to me. And it was like, I hated to have to do that to them, but I was like, you can't just walk away when I say it's time to go.
Right. And I'm saying these things for a reason.
Yeah. Like this is for your safety. This is not so I can be controlling her because I'm pissed off. I want to go home.
Right.
Which I did, but
well, but
had enough of Wiccan Farms.
But
Wickham, not Wiccan Farms. That's a different place.
They have hex signs and shit. Hex
Can I get a new pentagram soup?
Having said that, we're just gonna do some news.
Oh yeah, hang on a second while I get my fancy news ticker up.
Whip this out. Oh, sounds like Fitz has some breaking news.
Boy, that was so loud. I do apologize. All right, let me log into my news blotter here and find out what the news is for today. Did you know that a glass of wine can contain as many calories as a donut? A new study suggests that putting nutrition information on booze could lower obesity rates and curb alcohol consumption. What are they, high? They must be drunk. And by the way, have you ever dunked a donut in a good Malbec? Come on.
I'm going home to try that now. No, I was trying to. Sorry to interrupt your news, but I was trying to think of a delicate way to say that to when you don't want to tell your kids like, oh, you shouldn't address weight issues with a kid. There's that touchy thing. However, I wanted to give nutritional value. Like my one daughter loves lemonade.
Mm-hmm.
And
a lot of sugar in lemonade.
Yes. It's like fucking 200 calories a glass.
Yeah.
And I how do you say without saying
you gotta get fat?
I don't. Yeah, right. I don't mean that, but you gotta watch.
Yeah, because you just say
that's a lot of sugar.
It's not healthy to have that much of that. That's what you do.
There's
It's
a
not
good-
healthy to have
that
15
much
cookies.
sugar.
It's not
Yeah.
healthy to have a sleeve of Oreos.
Gotcha.
That's what
Okay.
I tell myself all the time. I don't listen.
Got it.
Should we go back to news?
Yes. Oh, back to the news.
A new poll asked people what they like to do for fun in the winter, and not surprisingly, one of the least popular answers was attend outdoor performances. Don't like to go to a concert in the winter? Why?
Who's having any outdoor performances?
I don't know. This must have been a poll that they did in the South.
Dumbasses.
Yeah. IKEA is offering a 107 square foot tiny home apartment in Tokyo for less than $1 a month in rent for 1 year. So if you were finally needed that reason to get out to Tokyo, now you can get a very small house
Come in, Tokyo.
for $1 a month. I don't know what that is in yen.
Yeah.
Firefighters.
Yen calculator.
Firefighters in South Carolina believe that a fire started inside an assisted living facility due to bullets that were put inside a toaster oven. I'm sorry?
Huh?
One person
Come
was
again?
treated for smoke inhalation. No one else was hurt. Who the hell's putting bullets inside of a toaster oven?
So
Don't you
many
know that's for a
questions.
microwave?
Why were there bullets there?
I don't know.
Two,
So
why
many
were there-
questions we
Yeah,
don't have time to
exactly.
answer. Or ask, for that matter. A snowstorm in England stranded 61 people in a pub for 3 days. Darn!
I read about this.
Yes. They were originally there to see an Oasis tribute band.
Well, that's the worst part of it.
So they sat there listening to Oasis for 3 days. Oh, my God.
Ah!
Yes, you're a Wonderwall. Let's move on.
And now, Wonderwall. And then, did the Gallagher brothers show up?
Oh, God. Yes. Angry and fighting.
Yeah.
They
Was
have
it Noel and Liam or something?
yeah, Noel and Liam. They have like
How do I know this? I have no idea. This
Eyebrow
shit
envy.
just absorbs this. I just absorbed this.
yes.
Anyway,
In a recent poll, 5% of people thought that Game of Thrones was based on actual people and events from hundreds of years ago. Because everyone knows dragons really existed.
you mean it wasn't?
No. No. You like TikTok? You're on the TikToks, right?
I am.
You're one of those
At
hip
Madge
chicks
Madigan.
on your
I'm
TikToks.
ticking and the talking. And
There's another TikTok going viral where a woman had each of her 4 grandparents draw a flower, and then she turned them into a tattoo.
she turned the grandparents into a tattoo?
No, she turned the drawing of a flower into a tattoo.
Oh, they actually drew.
So like
I
the
was
grandparents created the tattoo.
I wasn't
guess.
sure if it would draw like drawing straws. here,
Right, yeah, that was
but they actually drew like
sketched
win, lose, or draw. And
sketched a flower. The pandemic has reportedly caused a spike in illiteracy for children between the ages of 3 and 6. Maybe because there was no school for 2 years. Could be.
3 and 6
Call
though.
me
That's
crazy.
preschool. That's. I can see why, because if they're not in daycare, and the parent has to work from home, I'm sure there's a lot less reading to the child.
Oh, sure. Not to
going
mention
on.
all the parents that were day drinking during the pandemic didn't
well,
help.
I was doing that, but my
Madge.
kids are grown.
Yeah, but your kids are grown. Good job.
Job.
Lots of stories out of England. Who knew?
Yeah, really. A lot of shit going on there. And on that note, Fitz, what did we learn today? The guy at the mobile station's an asshole.
Yeah, you know what? I learned, yes, I know he's an asshole, but I learned that I probably should take the high road more often, take a deep breath and be more calm, be more zen.
Doesn't hurt.
You know? Don't let people get the best of me and make me all get worked up and blah, 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 blah. I should probably
Absolutely. That has worked immensely.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better word for me.
It's from what I hear, it's transformative.
It really is. I've learned it in the past few, because I spent a lot of time, well, like after my divorce, during, because there was so much animosity
Sure.
and there, a lot of hostility, a lot of anger in the marriage. I reacted to it with more I didn't express it ever, but it was all like, oh, I hate this, sucks, I hate it.
That'll destroy you.
Yeah.
That'll slowly destroy
and
you.
even at the few years after the marriage, I was like, everything sucks. I'm a victim, and I hate this and I hate that, and and it was just like, you have to let that shit go.
Yep. Let it go.
Let it go. Let that
the
shit
asshole.
go, kids. Let the mobile guy go.
Yeah. No, it was a marathon.
Marathon.
I like the people at Mobile. They're cool.
Oh, marathon oil. There's still such a thing.
There is. There's
Okay,
one right
sorry,
here.
mobile people.
Yes.
This is the marathon guy.
Okay.
Anyway, with that, Fitz, thanks for being here.
Oh yeah, and let me just let me say one thing as the sponsor of the show.
Mm-hmm.
If your kids like Santa Claus, I invite you to like chill with Santa. Chillwithsanta.com is a new thing that we've got going on here at Rockbox, where we've actually got a real Santa in the next room. And you can schedule a Zoom call with Santa and sit down for 10 minutes and talk with Santa. Or if your kid's maybe a little bit too shy and you don't think that'll work, you can, for $25, you can get Santa to create a personalized message for your child.
Santa cameos.
Yes, chillwithsanta.com. And if you put in the coupon code Madge, you can save $10.
MADGE.
Yes,
Madge.
MADGE. Save $10.
Yay. Save
Chillwithsanta.com,
$10.
courtesy of
Santa.
Rockbox.com.
Oh, it's chillwithsanta.com.
Chillwithsanta.com.
Anyway, rockbox.com for all your recording needs.
Yes, please.
Fitz is the man. While you're here, please subscribe. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe. Ring that bell.
Ring the bell, baby. That looks kind of gross.
And follow Fitz on all social media, FitzVox, me on social media, Madigan. Please subscribe. Like I said, it helps me immensely if you subscribe. And with that, I hope you enjoyed today, and we'll see you next week on Madge Unmuted. Bye-bye.